Welcome, welcome to Table Moments Live. What's up, everybody? How's it going? This is awesome. The first Table Moments Live. We want to just give a shout out to all the listeners. The podcast, Table Moments. For those of you who aren't familiar, Table Moments is a podcast. 4 siblings meet up every Friday. We shoot the shit and talk about random, crazy stuff. No politics. And we just shoot the shit for about 45 minutes. It's a good thing to listen to when you're working out, walking, cleaning. It's just a good time. So, this is our first live Q&A session. We're going to be doing this on a semi-regular basis, depending on how people feel about it. And this is it. This is going to be an opportunity to ask a bunch of questions. I know there's some people who are interested in how this got started and why the name, and we're going to be going over that. There's 2 ways to ask questions. One, you could click the question cloud button. You'll see it with a question mark in there. You could put a question in there, and then I'll be able to pull up the question as we get a few come in. And then also, another thing, if you guys want to come on the show and ask the question live, those people get priority. You can just ask the invite, just click the plus with the camera on there, and we'll invite you on the show. But keep in mind that we reserve the right to put this on YouTube. So if you're going to be on this thing, just know that. And we got our Kevin Samuel shit going on. I got the vibes going. Captain America in the background. This is me. And so the other cast members aren't going to be able to make it. Akram, he's working. And Bilal and Afra, the other members of Table Moments, are not able to make it for stupider reasons. So let's just get started. One of the biggest questions that I got was, why did we start a podcast? It was on a whim. Like, Afra and I, about a year ago, started recording. We just decided to record a call. Literally, I think I was helping her with something maybe, but we just decided to record a call, and we talked for like 25 minutes, and it was, on the playback, it seemed really entertaining, and I was thinking, yo, we should keep doing this. We should do this on a weekly basis. And so we ended up doing it. So I ended up recording a lot of material. So we started recording about a year ago. Literally, this is like our 1-year anniversary of recording. But if you notice, just by the episode count, it's been 6 months since we've been publishing. So how it turned out, we started recording in late April of 2020. This is like just after the whole, I'm not even going to mention it, but the bad thing that happened in 2020. And, I'm living in New York, ended up giving a call to Afra on like Google Meets or something, and ended up recording that call, and it was just entertaining as hell. So we're like, you know what, this would be good material for a podcast. So we started recording, and it took us like 6 months. 6 months to finally start. I don't know, I just got fed up. I got fed up, and I was like, you know what? We were trying to get it perfect, and we were exploring all these different formats for the show. Afra was working on the animation stuff, so you could actually see the first episode that Afra put together. It's about 20 minutes of the audio overlaid with some animations and image graphics and stuff like that, which is really entertaining, which in the future we're going to actually do more of, but on Instagram. But that's basically how it started. So we were originally going to do like full episodes of these animations, but just based on the workload and the kind of effort that it required, it just took way too long. And so we weren't able to do that weekly cadence. So then I just got impatient. I was like, you know what, fuck it. Let's just launch it as a podcast. And then I ended up just spending a few days learning about podcasts and how to host them and stuff like that. And then just rough cut of our first episode and just put it up online. And that was our first episode. And the funny thing is, we got 6 listens our first week, and it turns out they were all me, just testing it on different platforms. But at this point, I got to appreciate everybody who's been listening. We're about to surpass a pretty big milestone, 500 listens, and it's accelerating. That's the very cool thing about all this. And it's because of you guys, just listening, sharing probably, or even just going back to our backlog and listening to a bunch of older episodes. So I just want to appreciate everybody who's been doing that. and then also the people who've been giving us feedback. I've been using a lot of that information to just make the podcast better. And that's what we're always going to try to do. Just constantly be more selective with a lot of the material. And as I mentioned, we started about a year ago. So we have a ton of content, like a lot of unreleased content. So we're going to be very selective about what we publish so that you guys get the funniest shit in your ears. And then we also have other segments of the show, which we can explore if you guys are interested. But there's more to the conversation than what you actually hear on the podcast. So if you want to hear some more like inspirational stuff, advice, we have elements of that in our conversations that if you come on the show, you can actually be a part of, which we've now recently transitioned to Discord. So if you guys are interested in that, please hit me up or anybody in the Table Moments cast to get some of that information. So that's why we started the podcast. We just thought it would be cool. That's it. It's not deeper than that. Now, the reasons for continuing the podcast, I'll get to later, one of the other questions. So another question that we've gotten was the name, Table Moments. What the fuck does that mean? It's a bit of a story. So the original name of the podcast was just going to be, it's a podcast. That's simple. It's a podcast. Because it's in the test recording that Afra and I did, I say, oh, it's a podcast. And we figured, shit, that's a good name. Why not? I'm glad we didn't go with it. Because it turns out there's actually another podcast called It's a Podcast that launched literally the days we started recording. Literally 1 year ago. Another podcast launched their first episode. And it's called Bruh. ... It's a podcast. Cool guys, though. Check them out on Instagram. They got a lot of dope content. They're doing a lot of cool shit. They even just got a pretty big guest, I think, a TikTok star. So check them out. Bruh, It's a Podcast on Instagram. Also, follow them on Spotify. They got a podcast. Their banter is a lot similar to what we have. They do some current event stuff, some stories that are happening in the world. So check them out. A lot of good shit there, too. And that's what we're trying to be. Like, I want to get that big. And then further. But that's what we're going to do. So, Bruh, It's a Podcast. Check them out on Instagram. All right? So, if you want more content that is similar to what we got going on. So, the name, Table Moments. We started with It's a Podcast as the name. And if you listen to our first episode, you can actually hear the banter between Akram and me and Afra and Bilal about what the name should be. And I think it was Bilal that came up with the name that we should use Table Moments. And the name Table Moments comes from a thing from when we were kids. So growing up, we had these moments, after like lunch or dinner or something like that, we'd be sitting at the table and just hanging out with friends and family, just shooting the shit. And eventually we would get into this like sort of zone or vibe where we're just like laughing hysterically over stupid shit or whatever random stuff that we're talking about. And so, and then we're like, dude, this keeps happening. Every time we hang out, especially with our close friends, shout out to Amar and Idas, we grew up with them. And also been very supportive of this podcast. So shout out to them, follow them on Instagram. But we would have these moments with them, just sitting around the table and a bunch of the other people we grew up with, just laughing hysterically over a bunch of stuff, like random stuff. It was crazy. And I remember a lot of late nights and we were thinking, all right, there's got to be a name for this. There's got to be a name for this vibe, this feeling that we get every time we're at this, sitting at a table. And so I don't know who came up with it. I'm guessing maybe it was us, but I don't know. So, and then we called it Table Moments. And so anytime we would have that, you never know that it's coming. But when it happens, you know after the fact that we just had a Table Moments. And so I was like, yo, I think Bilal was like, yo, we should just call this Table Moments. Or I think I listened to the episode 1. I re-edited it so it sounds better. And there's a good and then we just come up with the name Table Moments. And that's where that comes from. So, and at this point, I've fallen in love with the name. And I like it. So that's where Table Moments came from. For the people who just joined, you can leave a question by clicking the cloud or the chat, the circle cloud box with the question mark in there. If you want to leave a question in there, I'll be happy to answer it. Another question we've gotten is, how do you guys come up with topics? We don't. Literally, this is just us shooting the shit. Like, literally, Akram will join the call and be like, how's your day going? And then I'll just come up with some stupid idea I came up with someday. Or Bilal will come in, tell us some ridiculous story about how he got in trouble with some of his roommates. And you can listen. Actually, I don't think I published that story yet. So we might publish. There was a pretty crazy story Bilal told us of him and his living situation that we're not going to publish yet until all that gets sorted out, or probably at a later date when it's not going to affect anything in the future. So, but Bilal would come in and tell us some ridiculous story of him getting into some conundrum, or like somehow pulling off an interview last minute, and he comes in with that. Afra comes in with her eclectic taste, talking about like, I don't know, BTS or eating Cheetos with chopsticks or some shit. Akram coming in with his stories or like comments, usually lewd and usually inappropriate, but it's like we have this mix of characters, and then me with like my crazy ideas, or like the things I noticed in life, and then just bring them up as questions. So it's just us shooting the shit. We don't have a hard set list of topics. Every now and then we'll just come up with a couple topics that we use maybe as backup if the conversation dies down. But that's basically it. So that's how we come up with topics. And another thing you guys probably don't know is we record like 2 hours worth of conversation. 2 hours worth that we end up cutting down to 45 minutes. That I end up cutting down to 45 minutes. And that's a challenge because I feel like a lot of it's good information or good, decent content. But I try to leave only the best. Only the best. And that's why I think our content's just elevating over time. And we always appreciate the listens and the feedback. So generally, the show works this way. I'll just invite. So we have a set time every Friday at 9 p.m. my time. I'm on the East Coast. And 6 p.m. where the rest of the cast members are. They would just join the call. We were using Google Meets. We transitioned to Discord. So that might be a new element of the show that we introduce where people can just come in, ask questions, interact. This is an opportunity to just build a community here and connect people. This is, I think, a new level of networking in a weird way, which I'll describe in a minute. But basically just invite everybody and we just let the conversation flow. And that's why I feel like the conversation is genuine, more genuine that way, instead of, hey, here's the first topic, here's the second topic, blah, blah, blah. And that could get really boring. And I've listened to podcasts like that, but this one is just conversational between siblings and friends, often when they come and join the call. So that's the structure of the show. That's how we do it. All right. What I want Table Moments to be. Okay, I started thinking about this, and by accident, we stumbled on a really cool use for this show. Like originally, after we started getting a bunch of listens, and we started getting to like, we're about to cross like 500 listens right now this week, which I thought we were going to get in a month, but now we're going to cross it in a week. So the thing's been accelerating. So it's all because of you guys listening to the show and maybe even sharing it. I think it's you guys on Instagram, but it's probably the people on Spotify too. If you follow us there, that's probably the best place to follow us. So we're growing. We're growing really fast at this point, and I can see the exponential growth happening. And I think this is prime opportunity for us to really grow. And my original thought for this thing was, this was an opportunity for people to plug what they got going on in their lives, right? You got a business, or you got some side hustle going on, or you're working on something and you want to plug it, or whatever. You come on the show, you get a chance. This is a platform for you to tell people what you got going on in your life. And that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect that we accidentally discovered this week was someone reached out to Bilal about something he mentioned on the podcast. So Bilal was talking about like investing in real estate or something. And then someone reached out to him and be like, yo, I heard on the show you're looking to invest. How are you starting all this? And I was just like, holy shit. this is like new form networking. This is like new age networking, where if you come on the show or you listening to the show and you hear someone working on something that you want to be a part of, you can just go and one, you hear it so you know about it, and then so you can just DM them or reach out to them specifically. Or if you come on the show and you talk about what you got going on, where it's like, yo, I'm about to graduate in with a degree in, like, I don't know, material science or some shit, right? And then someone who's listening to the show is like, yo, I actually work at this engineering firm and we're looking for a material scientist. Boom. Just built a connection right there. And that's what this shit could be. Like, imagine if we had just even like right now we're at 34 followers on Instagram, but I mean, imagine if we're at 100, 500, the network effects just stack up even more and more and more. So that's what I see this thing being. It's really cool. It's really cool. Plus, the growth and everything. I don't plan on monetizing this thing. That's not the value of this thing. Like, building the connections between people could lead to huge opportunity for everybody. So that's the idea behind Table Moments at this point, at this stage. And so it's really cool. It's really cool. And a side benefit. Part of the reason why we started this in the first place was also to maintain a connection with each other. So this is just 4 siblings who get on a call and shoot the shit about random stuff. And one of the side benefits of this is when we started, it was around April of 2020. I ended up flying back home to California in August, and it was like I never left, because it's like we'd been talking every week for 12, 15 weeks before I come home, and then all of a sudden it's like I've never left. They know exactly what's going on in my life. I know what's going on in their life. It was cool as shit, because it's like I remember what it was like before Table Moments, where we wouldn't talk for like weeks, maybe even months, and then I'd come home and it's like awkward because I don't know what's going on in my siblings' lives. But now it's just like, it's like I'm living with them, but I'm not. And so I encourage you guys to start having these conversations with your brothers, sisters, even your parents. Like, they're not going to be here for that long. I mean, time is short. Considering the year that we've had, this is an opportunity to like get closer with your family, and consider that. So just build those weekly cadences of like, just have your table moments with your own family, and then always join us for table moments here. It's part of our family and the community that we've built here. So appreciate everybody listening. We wouldn't be here without you, and I'm always looking for feedback too. So feel free to DM me the account Table Moments, or DM me. I'm an engineer, or Akram, or Bilal, or Afra. Yeah, we're always looking for ways to get better. And another thing that we learned this week is that we do have an audience outside of the Habesha, just the Habesha community. So this thing has legs, I think. And I'm excited to see where it goes. So are there any questions? Anybody got comments they want to mention? All right, so I got a question from somebody. Let me see if I could display it. Okay, so here's the question. Who's this guy? I'm an engineer. Interesting. So he says, Table Moment seems like a lot of work. How do you do it all, Ayman? That's a really good question. It is a lot of work. Now that you ask me, it is. Like, it takes about 3 hours to edit an episode. So we basically have two hours worth of content, basically, that I have to shrink down to 45 minutes. And Akram and Bilal aren't very considerate because they've never edited an episode. So they're always constantly like throwing shit in there, naming names and fucking locations and things that shouldn't be in a podcast that's published publicly. So I gotta go and fucking delete that shit or bleep it out. But then I've figured out a sort of workflow to kind of shrink the time, but it's still 3 hours. I got to listen to the whole thing in order to edit it. So then I just group the audio into certain topics that I hear, and then I take out certain parts of it. I adjust audio levels. So if you've noticed, we actually recently transitioned to Discord, and the audio is much better. But we still have a backlog of a lot of old episodes, or a lot of old recordings. So for those of you guys who just listened, we've been recording for like a year, right? So we have a ton of content, a lot of backlog, huge backlog. So even if we stop recording this week, we would have enough for like a good year if we wanted to. But I want to leave the best for y'all. So we're going to be doing that. So it is a lot of work, but at this point, I kind of enjoy it because it's just like sort of zen. And I actually enjoy listening to it, which is weird because it's like I'll edit it, I'll listen to it, I'll actually laugh while I'm editing it, and then I'll go listen to it again while I'm at the gym. And I'm just like, it's good shit. All right. So we got a question. Do you plan on coming up with a segment structure to make it easier to edit? We thought about that, man. We really did. And I was just like, shit, it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't, you don't get the natural flow of a conversation when you do something like that. So it's like Bilal, he always comes in, it's like, I got a topic, right? And you'll hear it in the podcast sometimes and we just clown him for it. But you don't get that natural flow of a conversation when you have like that segmented thing and then say, all right, we need to move on to the next thing. I listen to some podcasts that are like that, which are, I only listen to them because of the characters and some of the jokes that they make, but it doesn't flow as smooth. So I'm more than willing to sacrifice my time for a better conversation and a better podcast. So I hope that answers your question, but we thought about it. It's not, we have backup topics sometimes. But I like the smooth conversation that happens. All right, from active, interesting. How would one need to be invited to a Table Moment session? Just DM Table Moments, man. Just DM Table Moments if you want to jump in on the call. We'll send you the Discord link. We're considering even to like make it public, put it on the thing, but at this point we're still testing it out. There's some like issues regarding stability, I think, when it comes to audio and especially the recording part. And then also, like, yeah, so we're still experimenting with Discord, but the audio is definitely way better. And the cool thing is it actually it records everything on a separate track. So that's why like our audio levels on Discord are way better, way better. None of that shit where you hear Akram like fucking cooking chicken in the background and I can't cut it out because it's like one track. No, that's not a problem anymore. It's not a problem anymore. So we're going to be doing that. So yeah, just DM Table Moments if you want to be a part of it. And then the cool thing is I have a rule. I give you, whoever gets invited, they get a week to review the audio. And if there's anything they want to cut out, we can cut it out. I'm very respectful about people wanting to put some shit out, but not other shit. I'm all about that. I'm not trying to get anyone in any trouble. And then if you feel like, hey, I actually don't want to be a part of it, I don't want my audio in there, totally cool. We'll just discard that episode, and it was just a good conversation with you. So it's all good. All right, this question's funny. Yo, would it be hard to segment Akram falling asleep anyhow? Oh, it would be hard. It would be hard to segment Akram falling asleep anyhow. He does be falling asleep though. Holy shit. Yeah, it would be hard to put that segment in there. Oh, fuck. That's funny, man. Thank you for that. Oh, shit. All right, let me see. Are there any other questions? This is pretty cool. I hope you guys like Instagram Live. This is pretty decent. So, yeah. Appreciate everyone listening to the call. Or to the podcast, and we're growing really fast. Definitely the plan for the future is definitely getting more active on the socials. For those of you who joined late, so we were originally going to call ourselves It's a Podcast. That was going to be the name of the podcast, but there happens to be another podcast that basically has the similar banter that we have, three guys, called Bruh, It's a Podcast. BRUH ... It's a Podcast. They have a lot of good content too, so check them out and check out their Instagram. I want to eventually get our Instagram content like theirs because there's a lot of good shit and those are like goals. So finding the time and the ability to be able to do those things has been challenging, but I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about video editing, and my animations aren't that good. Afra's been the creative director for this, and she's been responsible for all the artwork, but I'm getting better, and I'm working on it, and soon enough, I'm going to be able to devote a lot more time to this, so I'm going to be growing the Instagram, and then also putting more content on YouTube. So this video here, if I can download it, I might even publish this on the YouTube channel and start growing that. So the Instagram and the YouTube is going to be for short form content with added value. So think audio clips that we have with animations on top of them. So the animations that make it funnier. And that's we'll only publish them if it enhances the audio once we get a rhythm and be able to make all that content. But so that's the plan for the YouTube and the Instagram. Definitely working on actually some tools to also expand on Twitter. For anyone on Twitter, we also have a Twitter, but it's very inactive. I think there's like one tweet there. Spending all my time editing these things and just sticking to getting content out. It's been, I think, the biggest, most important thing. And then also, this is just a huge learning experience for me personally, and I think also for the other members of the cast, my brothers and sisters, one sister. It's been an interesting experience. I've learned so much about editing, audio, content, and I have so much to learn. I'm a noob at a lot of this stuff, but I feel like our episodes are getting better every week, and I'm constantly looking for a small way to improve every time, and eventually I want this to be big enough that we can all get something useful out of this. This isn't about money. This isn't about fame. This is probably the first time you've seen my face, honestly, associated with Table Moments. This isn't about any of that. This is about creating a community and being able to give opportunity back to the people who find our family and our friends entertaining, and then also building connections between everyone. So that's that. I want to appreciate everyone who showed up. Like, I was worried Habesha time was going to be a bitch, but we got a few listeners. We got a few people on here, and I'm satisfied with this. You know what? I would have been satisfied with just me by myself, all lonesome, you know? I noticed, like, this is where I get into my inspirational part, where if you got anything that you've always thought about pursuing, the hardest part is taking the first step. So with Table Moments, that was the thing. We had actually started recording back in April 2020, as I mentioned earlier, but didn't publish our first episode until November 2020. So it was like over 6 months before we published our first episode. We were so worried about perfection that we never took the first step. And you might find yourself in a situation like that where you're just afraid to take that first step. Maybe afraid of how people are going to judge you. But I encourage you to take it because it's going to suck. It's going to suck. If you listened to our first episode before I did the re-edit, it sucked. It sucked compared to what we're able to put out now. But that's the nature of improving and growing. It starts shitty and then it grows. Another quote, success in its infancy looks like failure. You have to nurture it in order it to come to fruition, right? So that's what we're doing here. Started really small. Our first week, I think even our first month, our first episode got like 6 listens, and it was all me just testing it on all the different podcasting platforms. But now we're about to cross 500 and it's accelerating. So I think maybe, I don't want to say it on the call, but I think, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to jinx it. It's just like, it's growing faster than I expected. I thought we were going to get to 500 next month, and we're going to get it by the end of this week. It's just like, exponential growth is a mindfuck. It really is. So start now, take the first step, and then grow every step. Every shot on goal is just another opportunity for you to make it. So that's the inspirational part. And that's usually an element of the show that I end up taking out of the edit. So if you guys are interested in hearing that kind of stuff, the older brother giving advice to Bila and Afra, usually. Even sometimes Akram. That's an element of the show. And then also, I guess anyone who was here before the live stream started, we got some intro music. If you have any comments on that, maybe I'll do an outro. You know what? I'll do an outro. Let's do an outro. Let me reset the timer, and you guys will just be able to listen to some music. It's shitty because it's coming through my TV and into the phone, but I just want to thank everybody for showing up and not making me feel all by myself. And if you guys enjoyed this, please DM me. I want to get some feedback about what you thought about this, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to hear, and if there's an element of this live content that you want to see. And hopefully next time I can get Akram, Bilal, and Afra to join the call too, and then we'll be able to do 4-screen, and you'll be able to see all 4 of us do like a Q&A, or maybe another thing that we do on the podcast is like guess things about each other that I don't end up including in the podcast because that's really niche to us. It's very specific to us. But if you guys want to see it, let us know, and we could do things like that. Or, we could do the kind of shit where, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kevin Samuels, but I can invite you on the call and ask you how old you are and what's your dress size and shit. If you guys want to see that. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for the support, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So let's play us out. Peace.